Greetings, everyone. Shout out to the IoT Evolution crew for a great show. Everybody having a good show? All right, hell of a way to get out of Valentine's Day, huh? All right, so what I wanted to do is, so I'm Mark Foster. I run sales and operations for US Cellular Wholesale. And I had a unique opportunity with my team here over the last 3 years of standing up the first new wholesale offering from a mobile operator in North America in quite some time. Just show of hands out there, who's familiar with US Cellular out there? All right, so we got about half the crowd. So US Cellular traditionally was, well, first of all, we were founded in 1983 to bring wireless connectivity to rural America. We have networked in 21 states. We do nationwide connectivity in the wholesale business. We also, we have about 5 million handset subscribers, and we are about a $4 billion revenue company, so significantly smaller than the big three. We are the 4th largest postpaid carrier in the US. We're also the 5th largest tower company in the US. We did not do what the other operators did, and we didn't divest ourselves of our tower businesses back to pay for our LTE upgrades. And that means we play a very unique role in providing connectivity from coast to coast in the US. A lot of the areas that we serve are low density areas, rural areas obviously, and it just makes more sense for everyone to roam on us versus trying to provide connectivity, stand-up connectivity themselves. Nobody wants to go dig trenches in Nebraska and build towers. So what I'm going to talk about today are sort of our findings launching this new wholesale effort into the market. You know, obviously we're not the incumbent, and so we've really searched hard to build value for solution providers and MVNOs. We serve IoT in the wholesale group. We do private cellular networks. We do wholesale broadband, and we also support our MVNO business. And these are the 4 tenets that our business is built around. And this is the bulk of the presentation today. So we're going to talk about connectivity built for IoT, offering commercial flexibility to the market, our white glove support platform, and how we enable technology. So the first thing we'll talk about is connectivity built for IoT. So obviously the IoT use case is significantly different than the handset use case. What we talk to customers about is the fact that if you're driving down the freeway on your cell phone and it doesn't work, it's pretty much okay, because in 2 or 3 minutes as you continue to drive, you'll run into coverage again. When you look at IoT, especially as you talk about large fixed deployments, that same thing isn't true. And so we've got sort of our mantra down here at the bottom, which is clients don't care about the 99 devices that work, they care about the one that doesn't. We work with a lot of solution providers. They have their own customers, and they expect their particular device to have connectivity if there's a network in that area. And so one of the ways that we've focused on, just at a base level as a carrier in providing value, is to try to build out the most robust connectivity possible. What this slide is a demonstration of is these dots are representative of towers, okay? There's not very much understanding out there in the market about how roaming works, how connectivity relationships work amongst carriers. And so typically the way it works is a carrier engages with another, and they say, they show them all the towers, and they say, well, we'll use that one, but not this one. We'll use this one, but not that one. And what they're really doing is they're trying to balance, you know, in the handset market, it's very expensive to roam, and so they're trying to balance customer experience with operating expense. Well, in the IoT market, you have a different set of underlying economics, and you don't have to make those trade-offs. So what we've done to build additional value is we've stood up a dedicated network for IoT so that we can have its own network identifier, its own PLMN, if that means anything to you. And that allows us to do separate commercial agreements that are more fitting for the IoT space. When we enable a connectivity partner, and we've got about a dozen enabled in the stack right now, we're leveraging the full network. That means every tower that they have access to, we would have access to. And our goal, we went out and searched for the most difficult use case we could find in the marketplace to really build our strategy around, and we focused on the water meter. The reason for that is it has a very difficult RF environment. These are typically devices that are in the ground. They're also ubiquitous. Everybody has a water meter. You've got one, I've got one, every business has one. And so it's very large scale. They're fixed, so they're not gonna run into network if you don't have network available there. And because they're in the ground, they really require or benefit from RAN density. And that's what we're attempting to deliver. So we've got, like I said, a dozen or so networks in the stack today. US Cellular's primary network is in the center part of the country. We're in 21 states, so it's kind of from, just imagine Wisconsin down to Oklahoma. It's the primary part of our network. You'll see all those overlapping dots. When we power up a connectivity partner, we do that even inside of our own footprint, even though in most cases we have the densest RAN in our markets anyways. So again, it's just an effort to make sure that devices can connect instead of not have any connectivity. The next bit is commercial flexibility. So if you've had the joy of working with a connectivity provider, you'll know that in a lot of ways the conversations and the negotiations tend to be one-sided. There's a lot of billing complexity that comes with running a handset business, and that trickles over into all of these legacy systems that are supporting IoT deployments. Instead of that, what we focused on is having a completely separate set of systems outside of those legacy handset systems, so that when we talk to a customer, we can really meet the customer's ask. So this means support for just pretty much any type of billing model that you can imagine. These are the three questions that I encourage my salespeople to ask the customers. What doesn't make sense to you about the way you work with your mobile operator? What has somebody said no to you when you've asked for it? What model has eluded you? Because we spend a lot of time on systems and accounting treatments, really exciting stuff, but also even things like comp plans for salespeople to make sure that my salespeople aren't avoiding the appropriate model for that particular customer. We're really looking for value add for customers. Next up, I wanted to talk a little bit about how we support deployments. This isn't a topic that's a very hot topic in commercial discussions, but once a contract is signed, this really becomes the only thing that matters. So we've got two dedicated operations teams, and we've got sort of a three-part process. One is we've got a separate fast lane device certification process. If you've ever had the pleasure of certifying a device with a mobile operator, you'll know that is sometimes, it can be quite difficult and costly and long. We do it free of charge. We also recognize that an IoT device is different than a voice device. It's different than bringing a new Android device onto your network. And so I think our current turnaround time on that's about like 34 days, 32 days, something like that. But we can certainly prioritize if it needs to be done quicker. We've got a dedicated onboarding team that focuses on getting a customer to market. Selfishly we do it because we're looking for revenue. From the customer's perspective, having someone to hold your hand to get your account set up completed, all of your testing completed, and being able to work with a dedicated team that's going to follow you through the life of your relationship with US Cellular is very important. These are the same folks that do our monthly operational cadence calls, go through all the ticketing and time to resolution for the customer. It's very powerful. We also have our own engineering staff for dedicated Tier 3 technical support. And these guys are BSS, OSS experts. They have run boxes on the network, so they have a deep understanding of LTE call flows. They're device engineering guys. And they also work with our vendors. And so these guys are on Slack channels with our clients. They're available 24/7. And with all of this effort, the most common thing that we hear from customers is, we've never been treated like this by a carrier before. And the last piece, and I wanted to save a little bit of time to talk about this, is technology enablement. With the economics at a carrier and the fact that you're dealing with large ARPUs and large revenues from the handset business, it's difficult for carriers to prioritize all of the technology enablement and systems development and engineering resources that come with trying to handle all of the use cases in IoT. We've got a little bit of an advantage here. We're a significantly smaller company from a revenue perspective than some of our larger friends out there. But what we do is we seek out customers that have special needs, okay? We tell customers we start with a yes. And so what we're trying to ferret out in the conversation is there something that we could bring to bear from a technology perspective to change the game for you, to really power your model up, okay? We don't compete with our customers in wholesale, so their success is literally our success. And if there's some magic bullet that we can enable on the technology side for them, and it makes sense, and it's got some scale to it, instead of doing those things as a one-off integration, we try to productize them. And so that over time, we build up this incredible tool belt of ways to accelerate our customers' businesses, okay? So down at the bottom, you'll see some bubbles that I've got on here. Doing this for 3 years now and having lots and lots of projects go through, we're at a place where we have these tremendous capabilities. Every flavor of eSIM you can imagine, onto things that haven't even been standardized yet that we can deploy. We do peer-to-peer interconnects. We do the public-private hybrid networks. You may have seen some of our press releases, some of the large private cellular network deals that we've won in the marketplace. Lots of things that customers don't know are available with multi-MZ and multi-profile SIMs direct from the manufacturer. We've got a clean-built connectivity management platform with just an incredible host of APIs that's directly installed in the network. So we found ourselves in this place where we are a technology leader in this space now, and it's mostly based around the fact, it's a strategic decision where we have invested with select customers and then productize these things so we can bring them to market. So I'm Mark, and that's what I've got today, and I look forward to any questions that you guys might have.
Okay, the first question is what I do with my microphone. Okay, hold on, we got one here.
Hi, thank you. Can you tell us what portion of your IoT deployments are based on fixed, like the water meter example you gave, versus on mobile devices?
If I had to pull it off the top of my head, because I don't have, it's not a metric that we track. A lot of our larger scale deployments have been fixed just because we've got unique value on the connectivity side. We're probably 70% fixed at this point.
And a follow-on to that is how much of your, especially in advanced connectivity, how much of your technology offering is now going to move up with 5G? Or is it somewhat still agnostic, 4G, 5G, it doesn't matter?
Most of the things that we're enabling, we definitely try to make investments in things that are going to be around a long time, just from a business case perspective. And so, as an example, like the peer-to-peer interconnect stuff that we do, this is mostly around standing up maybe hosted cores, managed core solutions for certain types of customers. We assist with those migrations over time. The interconnect itself remains the same. I don't want to get too detailed, but there's certain things that we future-proof, like doing SMS via SGD interfaces instead of SGS interfaces, some sort of legacy 3G stuff. So we're definitely building around 4G and 5G standards, if that answers your question.
Next question.
Can you tell us anything that's interesting from the technology that you'd like to share about the circles that are on the screen now, maybe the kinds of problems that you were trying to solve, but we'd just be interested to hear about the tech.
Sure, we can talk about eSIM a little bit. 2 years ago, there wasn't a lot of interest in eSIM, it didn't seem. Now I think the market is really starting to understand the power of being able to remotely control who your connectivity partner is. In the eSIM area, we're focused, so we have different customer types, it's hard to answer it. So I'll answer it from a solution provider perspective. The eSIM technology is, on the IoT side, is merging with the handset side. Okay, so M2M eSIM was sort of a failure outside of the automotive market, because it required some really costly and painful integrations for literally everybody involved, a lot of specialized gear and so forth. So I think the industry has come to the realization that if we can coalesce around one sort of base of technology, the DP Plus based smartphone technology that's totally ubiquitous, that it will encourage adoption at a lot faster rate. There's some requirements on the SIM and on the device, but the technologies are maturing at this point. We've got, fully deployed localization servers and DP Plus dedicated to IoT. At this point, if you've got an EU ICC device, we can have it pull down a profile. It's pretty simple at this point. We're trying to do facilitate a lot of localization with international carriers at this point. And what we're finding is, because they haven't been able to prioritize to the extent that we have, they haven't been able to justify some of these investments, that they don't have a lot of this gear yet. Everybody's got it on their roadmap. Everybody's 2-3 years out, let's say, on a DP Plus for IoT. But we're trying to help them prioritize by doing things like letting them put their profiles on our gear, doing secure transfers with the SIM vendor that they'll feel comfortable with. And so we're hoping that encourages the adoption of the new standards as they come available. So there's lots of stuff underneath all those bubbles. So if anybody's got something specific, we can talk about it. So
We've got another question here.
Sir, would you mind giving a couple examples of peer-to-peer interconnect, please?
yeah, we do things like let's say you run a large utility and you're managing 4 or 5 legacy networks, ISM-based networks. There's a big movement out there to go to the LTE standard for these folks. We can donate an MZ block to them, connect with their network peer-to-peer through the inter-carrier exchange, just like we would with another operator. And they can leverage our network. They can leverage the network of our roaming partners and their own network as they deploy it. That's one example. Another would be if we are converting an MVNO who maybe was what you would call a light MVNO traditionally. Maybe they have their own BSS OSS, but they don't have their own core network infrastructure. We can help those guys, give them engineering consulting, stand up their own core, set up their PSTN gateway, take care of number management for them, and then interconnect through with them in the inter-carrier exchange, and they can put their big boy pants on and run their own network and manage all their feature set deployments and have leverage over connectivity partners and all sorts of wonderful things. So that would be probably the 2 that come to mind.
So, Mark, not to deal with the criticism here, but how do I get in contact with you to get involved in your channel program?
You know, that's a great question. I probably should have put a contact information there. I've got a couple of client executives sitting here in the audience. They can raise their hands. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's Mark Foster at US Cellular, and we can put somebody in touch.
Okay. Any other questions? Mark, thank you so much. Give him a round of applause.